Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the Power Absorption category challenge or Super Battle Road stage. So obviously we're running a Power Absorption team. There are a couple ways you can slice and dice this team, but for the most part you're going to either need the AGL cell or you're going to need the physical Majin Buu Go Tanks or Buu Tanks unit, as that's generally going to be the best leads. You can run a full androids team. If you run Super 17, you can run a lot of androids underneath that, or you can run a whole Majin Buu power team. But either way, you are going to have to kind of run with either one of the two themes unless you have the Power Absorption. I've decided to go with the Power Absorption team, mainly because it lets me show off a bit more of the units and kind of function with them. But you can build a whole androids or a whole Power Absorption team. You shouldn't really have the world's biggest issues with that. That being said, I do like using the Power Absorption team because obviously it lets me take the AGL cell, who's obviously very strong, and then of course you can run an entire androids team with cell as well, which is also obviously very good. Overall, you have a lot of ways to slice and dice this. You could also run just an androids team under Super 17. You could also run a Martian power team under the Tech Buu. So there's a lot of different builds to kind of go. I do think combining both or running androids is probably the best bet, just because based off of the Majin Buu team, there's only a couple units, a handful at most, I would say you want to take on the Power Absorption team. There's some really strong ones like Jinembu or Majin Buu Kid Babidi. There's also obviously the Tech Artificial Life Forms Buu, who's also pretty decent. You've got the physical Buu tanks. But yeah, for the most part, you definitely probably want to build around more an androids focused team than anything else. So obviously the pretty dominant or the units that we're going to be using is we have the newly Easy Aid Omega Shenron, obviously a super strong unit now. He provides a huge debuff to the opposition, so he's a great unit to use because he obviously reduces all enemies' attack and defense by 20%. He has attack and defense of 150% plus an additional attack and defense of 10% with each attack performed, so he can get up to speed really quickly. He's super duper strong. Then we also have the strength second form cell. He's going to be linked up with the AGL first form cell. So obviously AGL first form cell transforms. As you guys know, he starts off great against multiple enemies, but then as he transforms he gets slowly better and better against a single target enemy, and he also obviously has that 35% chance of critting and evasion, which is always pretty damn good, plus the range mode. So yeah, for the most part I think it's all pretty good, but yeah, definitely could be something that obviously works out, I think, the best. In terms of like other units to kind of bring along, obviously I think for the most part Int LR Cell is really solid. His heal mechanic is something that could be very useful. Int Cell also links up pretty decently with the AGL cell, especially once he hits perfect form. But the perfect cell or the cell perfect form, he can get his heal from the third turn. So it's a pretty helpful mechanic to have. Obviously it's not entirely guaranteed, but it is pretty helpful to have, especially alongside the other heal of the physical Buu tanks. The physical Buu tanks unit, obviously he also has a heal that we can activate from HP 50% or more starting from the fourth turn. So I think overall, like, it's a pretty strong kind of healing lineup that you can get a lot of health back with, which is great. We link up the physical Buu tanks with the Omega Shenron. They share a decent amount of links, nothing crazy, but they do share Fear and Faith, which is always pretty solid. I guess. I mean, it's pretty solid. They share Fear and Faith, which is obviously their major key link, and then they also share Shocking Speed. So at the end of the day, they share the two major key links, which kind of works for Boo Tanks. Since he generates key from orbs as well, you can reliably get his 18 key, which is always something that's pretty helpful. So yeah, pretty solid stuff across the board in terms of those unit selections. But yeah, across the board, I think it's a pretty tough SBR. I think it's scaled quite well. They hit pretty hard. Even the new cell, he does, against multiple enemies can have like sometimes upwards of 200k defense. Even he takes quite a fair chunk of damage from normal attacks, which I think is good. It's always good to, basically have units that essentially, or new stages that are scaled quite well. And I think Power Absorption is a very strong category. You have AGL Cell, you have the Strength Second Form Cell, who's a very strong unit. You have Int LR Cell, who's still very viable, provides a lot to the team. Physical LR Boo Tanks, you have the Android 19 and 20, who I think are very, very exceptional. And you have units like AGL Super 17, Tech Super 17. They're both very, very solid units and very good, obviously, at absorbing damage, which I think obviously is something that they did consider when they were taking on this challenge. So yeah, for the most part, everything seems to go smoothly. Prioritize units that type disadvantage you. You'll notice, like here, for example, we focus on the Tech Gohan as much as possible, because obviously he's a big threat to the AGL cell, but he's also going to cause some issues for the AGL Super 17, at least until he can build up his full damage reduction. But yeah, for the most part, pretty happy with this overall team build that I ran with. I don't think there's too much I would change. Possibly I would bring the AGL Bukalo if I was taking on the no item challenge, and I'll probably bring him for that, just because of his ability to stun. It's got a high chance of stunning. He also provides support to the Power Absorption category. Very similar, probably might contemplate bringing Android 13. Obviously, stunning is a very, very helpful mechanic, and it is just something that I think will help out overall. Obviously, between the two of them, it's only a medium and a high chance to stun. It's not like it's a massive stun chance, but it's definitely something I think that will help if you're going for the no item run. Very similarly, Super AGL Boo, or Super Fit Boo as some people like to call them, also a unit that's going to be a great help. And Android 19 and 20, also units that are going to be a great help. You can run a very strong stunning lineup. If you look at like Boo Kid Babidi, if you look at the heal from Dr. Jiro and Android 19, there's a lot of very, very decent stunning and control mechanics that just exist, and the team will have a pretty decent time from that perspective. They've also got a lot of attack down as well. You can bring units like the Strength Omega Shenron, Physical Omega Shenron, Android 21. There's a lot of great units that really debuff the enemy and will make fighting the enemy a lot easier. If you throw on, Boo Tanks, Android 13, Android 21, I would say, to this team, you're probably going to have a much better time of a no item run, just because you have a lot more control, and you can debuff the enemy quite sufficiently. Very similar to bringing Omega Shenron. Bringing Omega Shenron will be very helpful, the strength one. On rotations with Physical Omega Shenron, you're running like 60% attack down, which is pretty nuts. Not to mention, he actually gives support to Omega Shenron, so yeah, pretty solid little kind of team that you can build up there. We'll definitely see when we go for the no item run, but yeah, at this point in time, it's a pretty decent team, I think, at least what I've got here. It's a fun team. I wouldn't say it's here to achieve any goal other than completing the stage. I think your best lead is definitely the AGL cell, but I think the Physical Boo Tank still does pretty well. His sealing ability and his healing do obviously help out quite a bit. And yeah, for the most part, honestly, just pretty chuffed with how everything went. I think, you know, the whole team ran pretty smoothly, and I think, you know, there's not too many issues that this team ran into. Obviously, guys, just be aware that you can take damage. You'll see in the beginning of the video, I obviously took quite a sizable amount of damage when I took a super attack on physical brute tanks, and he had pretty high defense for a start of turn unit, so you can still take damage from these stages. They're not super easy just because they're super battle road. They are upscaled. So yeah, pretty much all really good to kind of proceed. But yeah, that is basically it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. We'll finish off with the Dokkan attack here, which yeah is pretty decent. It's always nice to get the Dokkan attack, especially, you know, when you didn't need it at all. But hey, yeah, it is what it is. So that is the SBR done, and that is also the 60th SBR done, which is the final SBR of the set. Obviously they now release them one by one, but they used to release them in sets of 10. So yeah, this is stage 60. Pretty solid overall. Was a pretty fun time, and it also means we now have the Goku and Chi-Chi sport memory, which we will be taking a look at in another video. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, obviously would greatly appreciate it if you left a like or a comment. It's always really grand. And yeah, I will see you guys in the very next one. So as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.